I'm really delighted to be here.
Politics cannot change the world. Politics cannot change the society. This process seems too slow to get somewhere where being wise is not being in any ways better. Decentralized the country. We just moved a few days ago Parliament to another city, which is 2 hours drive. Knowledge of whom doesn't come natural. Benchmarks don't matter. 40% of Georgians have sad proposals that they've encountered for us. World's number one, world's number two.
My question about the conflict between Georgia and South Ossetia. Why Georgia was started with conflict? Thanks.
Well, I don't know. There is no such thing as South Ossetia. There is a small region inside Georgia where population was very ethnically mixed, and where there were people from which Russian troops entered in 2008. Entered after heavy shelling of several nights. After long preparation. At the moment when I was gone for holidays and I just came back, 80% of my main principal advisors and lots of our officers were gone for holidays because we're a normal country and go in August for holidays. They entered. But they entered, it was pretext, and they went after Tbilisi. They went to occupy capital. And when they entered, they told local population, which was predominantly ethnically Ossetian, we came to liberate you. And by the way, how strange, but most of this population fled with Georgian police. They just left the place, and they live 70. Do you know that 70% of all, roughly, maybe we don't count that, but majority of ethnicities that live in our refugee camps that emerged as a result of Russian occupation or Russian liberation, as they say, to liberate so-called South Ossetia and ethnically Ossetian. Do you know that there is no population left in Russian occupied areas? It's 6,000 people left. Nobody is left. Nobody wanted to be liberated. These are old people. And do you know that it's exact parallel with Latvian history when the Latvians were deported? Because we had one big wave of deportation in the 90s when 500,000 people were deported from Abkhazia, because this was the most Europeanized and the most promising region of Georgia in terms of getting fast to Europe. Well, our friends in the north knew it very well. That's where they hit us very well in the 90s. And then this time they thought that the easiest place to get to capital is through that direction from the north, using this South Ossetian issue. So, you know, every time when small country in the history got attacked by big one, do you think ever big ones claimed that they attacked? No. Do you know that great nation of Finland in 1939 attacked Soviet Union because they were so provocative? They wanted to attack and damage Soviet interests. And Soviet Union had to defend itself, so we had to... Do you know who started the Second World War, by the way? Do you know this is true story? Poles. because this stupid Polish, as they were saying, the stupid, uncareful Poles, they attacked German radio station in territory of Germany by accident. 1 million strong German army was exercising at their borders, and that just a few kilometers from there. So when these uncareful Poles attacked great nation of Germany, what was left to this great army but to return the fire? And by the way, they had also to occupy Poland. You know that in 2008, when we were all taking our holidays, by accident, great Russian army was exercising at Georgia's borders. 150,000 people. By another accident, 3 days earlier, Black Sea Fleet, when I was having holidays in Italy, left Crimea in Georgian direction. By another small coincidence, they blocked all our computer sites 2 days earlier, or 4 days earlier, I don't know, exact different data. All government sites were down. And then, after all these coincidences, these crazy Georgians entered sleeping town of Skinwal that was by accident evacuated before that, 3 days earlier, because they didn't really meet people on the narrow mountainous road when tanks were entering. And what else was left to, by accident, exercising Russian army, then to respond to with fire. They were shocked by it, surprised by our arrogance. And they had to return fire. Exactly the same story as Paul started the Second World War. And there's always somebody like here, like in this audience, who believe this crap and justify just anything. So what I advise you, never take anything at face value in what I'm telling you, but especially not what Russians are telling you.
Do you feel, or you already have felt, any pressure from Russia in case of your becoming a NATO country?
That's the only thing we feel in life, but you know, what happened now in Chicago, we had this summit, and I always see NATO summits as a chance, but I also see them as a risk, because in 2008, divided NATO in Bucharest generated partly factors that facilitated, I wouldn't say directly caused, but facilitated Russian direct onslaught on our country. So from that point of view, I thought that Chicago summit was a risk, because if there had been some disunity, that would have emboldened them, because it's kind of deja vu for me. In 2008, we had elections in America, in Russia, in Georgia, and we had NATO summit, and we got war. We have exactly the same factors, and we don't want war this year. But what happened is that basically this time Georgia was absolute darling in Chicago. We were put in new category of countries together with three other Balkan nations that are set to join. And they announced the next summit will be an enlargement summit, and that Georgia qualifies for it. Or Georgia was mentioned among first like strong aspirants for this enlargement. It's a good thing, but that's a big challenge. Because I heard it, we heard it, but they also heard it. And they know that time is short, because Medvedev said, by the way, you know why he said why 2008 wars happened? He said, these are his words, because it stopped NATO's enlargement to the east. So he explained why war happened in 2008. And they thought it was stopped for good. And look what happened. 4 years later, it was announced in Chicago, nothing is stopped. Everything can still go in the right direction. And you know, that's a wake-up call for some people, I guess so. But what else? You know, we don't want to provoke anybody, but what is our choice? We don't want to do it against anybody.